Hello, my name is Melissa Kieffer, and today I will be talking to you about wind energy. I'll be concentrating my discussion on the following points: the history of wind energy, how it works, the benefits, the problems, and the potential future benefits. The first area I'd like to briefly talk about is the history of wind energy. Since as early as 5000 BC, people have been using the power of the wind as a source of energy. For example, people would use the wind to help them push boats up the Nile River. And by 200 BC, the Chinese were using windmills for pumping water. The 19th century settlers brought wind technology to the New World and used windmills for pumping water and later to even power their homes. As of today, the U.S. Department of Energy states that wind energy is the world's fastest growing energy source. Okay, now I'd like to talk to you about how wind energy works. Wind energy is the process by which the wind is used to generate mechanical power or electricity. This power can be harnessed through the use of wind turbines. There are two main types of wind turbine. The first, most common type, is a horizontal axis turbine. This style has 2 to 3 blades that resemble an airplane propeller. The second, less common, is the vertical axis turbine, which looks more like an egg beater. If we take a closer look at the horizontal axis turbine, we can see that it's made up of 3 main parts: the rotor, the nacelle, and the shaft. The 3 main parts have to work together to generate electricity. This happens by the wind rotating the blades, or the rotor, which in turn spin a shaft attached to the generator, or the nacelle. The rotational energy produced by the shaft spins copper coils within a magnet housed in the generator. This magnet excites electrons in the wire, producing electricity. The tower supports the rotor and the nacelle. The size of a turbine affects the amount of electricity it produces. Smaller turbines, which have rotors 8 to 25 feet in diameter and stand 30 feet in height, can be used for pumping water, communications, and even to cut down on electric bills. Whereas large turbines, which have rotors 150 to 260 feet in diameter and stand 200 to 260 feet in height, generate mass amounts of power that is sent to the electrical grid. A large turbine can generate enough electricity to power 300 to 900 homes. Large turbines are generally grouped together to form what are called wind farms. Now I'd like to explain some of the benefits of using wind energy. One area that benefits greatly is the environment. Wind energy gets its power from the wind, so there is no need to burn fossil fuels, making it a clean fuel source with no harmful atmospheric emissions, or so-called greenhouse gases. The U.S. Department of Energy claims that a single large turbine can displace 1,800 tons of carbon dioxide in 1 year. This is equivalent to planting 1 square mile of forest. The current wind power installation in the United States provide enough electricity to avert nearly 62 million tons of greenhouse gases, which is equivalent to taking 14 million cars off the road. Wind energy also helps with the conservation of water. Wind farms do not require water to operate, unlike most other types of power plants. Another benefit of wind energy is to our economy. Studies show that in 2010, the wind sector invested $10 billion in the United States economy and employed 75,000 workers. Wind energy also aids in rural economic development. Farmers can lease their land to wind companies for added income. For example, a 250-acre farm could increase their annual income by $14,000 a year. And because turbines do not take up a lot of space, the land can still be used for crops or pasture for livestock. Rural communities also benefit from increased local tax bases that wind projects provide. It is important to realize that there are also problems with the use of wind energy. The environment can also be negatively impacted through its use. Thousands of birds and bats a year are killed from flying into wind turbines. Also, during the construction phase of a wind farm, wooded areas must be cleared, and many times construction roads need to be created. Another large issue with wind energy is getting the power it generates to the area of the country where it's needed. Most wind farms are located in remote rural areas, so it can be necessary to have to build transmission lines to bring the electricity to the more populated areas. Additionally, wind energy is not always reliable. We can't control the weather, and if wind is not blowing, electricity is not being produced. The last point I'm going to talk about is the wind energy's potential future benefits. Currently, the majority of our nation's electricity comes from fossil fuels, for example, coal, natural gas, and oil. These are not renewable resources, unlike wind, and will eventually run out. Although we are currently the second leading country in installed wind energy, there is potential for us to increase our nation's resources by utilizing the winds off the coasts of America. The U.S. Department of Energy's goal is 20% wind energy by the year 2030. With this goal, they estimate that it will reduce greenhouse gas emission by 7,600 million tons, conserve 4 trillion gallons of water, lower natural gas prices by approximately $130 billion, and generate over $600 million of revenue to landowners in rural areas. So in conclusion, even if we consider the problems with wind energy, the expansion of our nation's wind industry appears to be positive in aiding the United States in becoming more energy efficient and relying less on imported energy resources. Thank you very much for listening. Are there any questions?
That was brilliant.
Well, I have a question.
Okay.
How do people find out if they're eligible to have these wind things placed on their property? Is there a program, or do you get solicited by the energy people?
I believe it has to do with location. Most of them are located on higher up areas, in windy type things. But I do believe that if you contact the U.S. Department of Energy, they have like sitting handbooks and whatnot where you can read up on how you can apply for a wind turbine.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job, Missy. I learned things from that.
Great. It's okay.